Bit later. Okay, page 85 is where we're at in grammar. If you have a post-it note near you, I recommend putting one on this page. This is a good page to come back to if you need to later. Um, I just called it quotations because these are the rules for punctuation when you're writing a story that has speaking parts. So if you want to get a post-it, put quotations on it. And these are the rules. So I know sometimes we write academic papers where you're writing a report style. Like, can you hear me now, Grayson? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Grayson? I don't think he can hear me yet. Like when you guys wrote about Captain Cook, that was more like an academic report, but sometimes you write stories. And that's what we're going to do this week, actually. You're going to write stories, a story this week that's kind of got characters and maybe speaking parts. So that's why I want you to tab this. Anyway, let's look at it. It says quotation marks, capitalization, and end marks. Quotation marks indicate words that are spoken. We already know that. When anybody's speaking, we use those little hash marks around what they say. And then the quote is the sentence in the quotation marks, but then the attribution is the person speaking and the speaking verb. That's called an attribution. Sometimes when you read a writing, it'll say attributed to. So it just means it's telling who wrote this. So the person speaking and how they say it is called attribution. So look at this example. The stranger cried. Obviously, I am not afraid. The stranger cried is an attribution. The stranger speaking and he cried. It's not a boohoo cry, but it's like a yelling cry. Okay. And notice the comma after that word cried.
Just talking, but I can't hear.
And then you've got the quote here. Notice the period on the inside of the quotation mark. So those are things I want you to pay attention to when you're writing sentences with speaking parts, when characters are speaking. The next example shows it the other direction. Can you hear me now, Grayson? You got it? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, yay, woohoo! I recorded it just in case. Anyway, the next one has it reversed. So we have obviously I'm not afraid, and then the stranger cried. So the quote comes first, and then the attribution after that. Notice that there's no period this time, there's a comma right here before the quotation mark. And then we've got the period at the end. This one is broken up into two parts here with the attribution in the middle. So we have obviously the stranger cried, I am not afraid. That's another way to write it. But notice the comma here after obviously. Oops, this one. There's a comma after obviously and a comma after cried. And then you've got your period at the very end, right inside that quotation mark. And then the last example does not have an attribution. Sometimes when you write a story and you have a lot of characters talking, it's okay to kind of transition into just what they're saying back and forth. It makes it more interesting to read. Because if you say, he said, she said, he said, she said, he said, she said, or he replied and she replied and he replied, it's like hard to read that. You get it. If they're having a conversation, you can just eventually get to a point where you're just putting what they're saying. And that's an example here. You can cross the stream after I do. It's just the quote. There's no attribution. Notice the period at the end of the sentence. So all of those rules that I just went over with you right here are right here in this chunk of sentences. So with your pencil or your pen, whatever you have right now, I'm just going to have you circle this right here, kind of like a little box. And that's what I want you to look at when you come back to this page if you're writing a story. It tells you place quotation marks around the words that are spoken. It tells you instructions on how to use quotation marks. So this is a good page to come back to when you're writing a story. And then obviously over here too, this is another key in the margin. on how to do the punctuation and the order in which you can put these. There is a comma rule. It's used to separate items in a sentence, but it's also used to separate an attribution from a direct quote. So if the attribution is first, comma, quote. If the quote is first, quote, comma, attribution. So remember, they can go in different orders, but the comma needs to be there. And it says place quotation marks around the words that are spoken. Place 3 short lines below the letters that should be capitalized. We already know how to do that. Place the correct end mark at the end of each sentence. Place a comma between an attribution and a quote. And here are your 2 examples on the very bottom of the page. This is page 85. Robin demanded, comma, get off the log. So you can see that we need the capitals, but we also have a comma after the attribution and then a period at the end. The period at the end is always going to be there, or it could be a question mark, or it could be an exclamation point. This one has the quote first. You don't scare me, the stranger replied. So see that comma, because there's more after it, okay? And then the capital for you. So in this book, they're going to have you find where the quotes go, and they're going to have you look for where the punctuation goes, like commas and periods and things like that. And they're going to have you look for capitals, where those should be. Okay, we're going to go on. There's a little bit more on the back. Indentation, you guys know that that's the space at the beginning of each paragraph. You make a bigger space so that it shows clearly on the paper where your paragraph begins and where it ends when you see that indent. Okay, that's the extra space you add there. If you're typing, you're going to use the tab button on your keyboard. Most of you are typing, so that's the button right on top of caps lock. If you look at your keyboard, at least it is on mine. I think it is on everybody's, but it's right there. If you hit tab at the beginning of a paragraph, it will move it over about 5 spaces for you. And that's your indent when you're starting a new paragraph. It's handy. It's very handy when you're typing. But there are reasons to start new paragraphs. And here's a list of reasons or times when you would need to start a new paragraph. If you have a new speaker, and this is for a fiction story, this is like a made-up story, which you're going to be working on this week. When you have a new speaker, you start a new paragraph when a new character speaks. Include the attribution with the quotation, sentences before or after the quotation that point directly to the quotation can remain in the same paragraph. So if there's a speaker or there's more than one speaker and they're having a conversation, that's a new paragraph. And then if somebody new comes in, you start another paragraph. New topic, another reason to start a new paragraph. Start a new paragraph when the narrator or the character switches the topic. Another one is new place. Start a new paragraph when the story switches to a new location. If several switches are made in quick succession, such as a character's journey to find something, it may be less choppy to keep it in one paragraph. So if there's a lot of stuff going on and they're hunting for something, you can keep that in a paragraph. But if they're like in China and then all of a sudden they're in New Zealand and then they go to Russia and then they go to Japan, those are all going to be different paragraphs, okay? And then you're just going to add the paragraph symbol or the arrow symbol. I like the paragraph symbol. That's what I'm going to use. In front of each sentence, that should start a new paragraph. So it says here, Robin approached the log. Stand back, cried the stranger. So this would be a really short example of a new character coming in. We had Robin, and now here comes another character, the stranger, and he's speaking. That's a reason to indent and make a new paragraph. When you rewrite the passage, indent. Start the sentence on the next line and write 1/2 inch from the left margin. It's about like a finger space. Maybe your fingers are pretty small, so like 2 fingers space at the beginning. It's always a good one to use. All right, let's go to the practice page on 87. go. Anybody feel like reading today? Okay, Grayson, thank you. Go for it.
You joke like a fool, bellowed Robin. I could fire this arrow through your heart.
Good. Man, we got some drama going on here, I think. Something's escalating. Before I forget though, when you guys sit down to do your grammar homework, like whenever that is, like Friday, whenever you guys do your grammar, make sure that you read the sentence out loud first. Okay. That has to be part of your routine. When you sit down to do grammar, read the sentence because what happens is a lot of times students just jump right into the list. They turn the page and they're like, okay, article, okay, nouns, okay, got it, got it. Well, you might see that word fire and think it's a noun if you don't read the sentence. You might see fire and go, oh, that's a thing, that's a noun, but it's not here. Fire this arrow through your heart, that's an action. So that's actually going to be a verb. That's why it's really important for you to read it first so you get the context of what the words are in the sentence. So make sure you do that before you start checking off items. So let's look at the vocabulary. It's bellowed. And bellowed just means like shouting with a deep roar, like, you joke like a fool, or something like that. I don't have a very deep voice, obviously, but maybe like your dad or your uncle or somebody like that who's got a big voice. It's like a yell. But bellowed just means being really loud. So I think he's mad. I think he's mad. Let's just say, yeah, he's mad. Put a check by vocabulary. Now we're going to do our list. So go ahead and find the article by yourself. And we're going to start with nouns. So let's see, Lucy, where are the nouns at? There's 4 of them.
Robin?
Yes, that's one.
Arrow?
Yes.
I?
I is going to actually be a pronoun, so we're not going to count that a noun.
Heart?
Heart is a noun.
You?
That's a pronoun. It's right after a, the article.
Fool?
Yes, fool is a noun. It's basically a person. Remember, person, place, or thing is a noun. Good. And then JC, what about the pronouns? We kind of gave away a little bit there, but
You
you is a pronoun.
and I.
You and I, good. Um, JC, what about this one, your? I think doesn't really fit here. It doesn't mean through you are heart. That's weird. How should we spell your right here?
YOUR.
Yes, that's right. And that is going to function as an adjective because it's telling whose heart it is. So that we kind of need to take care of that so we can label that stuff. So speaking of adjectives, Bryce, where are the 2 adjectives?
Uh, your and
Good.
fellow.
Bellowed is going to be a verb. But if you look at the noun arrow, do you see what word would tell which arrow it is?
This.
This, there you go. Do you have your book with you, Bryce? Do you have your grammar book?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, just checking. Yes, okay, so those are the 2 adjectives. I'm going to skip prepositional phrase. Actually, I'm going to skip down to the verb, subject, verb pair, because that's going to help us find other stuff too. So it's okay to skip around on your list. So Grayson, this is for you. Where are the verbs at?
Joke?
Yes, that's one.
Bellowed?
Yes,
Fire?
yes. Okay, one more that's like a helping. There's one more, like a helping verb.
Could?
Yes, there you go. So a reminder, when it says three subject verb pairs, you can know that there's going to be three subjects for sure, but there might be more verbs. So just pay attention to that because there might be more. And what about the subjects, Lucy? So who did these things? Who joke like a fool?
You,
You, that's one subject. Who?
Robin,
Oh, go ahead.
Robin,
Robin is one. Yep.
and I.
And I. Very good. Those are the three subjects. Now, when we look for those main clauses, we're going to look for subject verb pairs. So that's why it's good to find those first. Then we can kind of make sure we got our main clauses right. And a main clause is going to be a complete thought. So that's for JC. Do you see where the main clauses are?
You joke like a fool, bellowed Robin.
It's gonna be you joke like a fool first because look how we have another set of subject verb right here after that. So that, even though it's only two words, that's going to be another main clause. Does that make sense, JC? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna break that up into two main clauses together, and then where's the last one?
I could fire this arrow through your heart.
Yes, very good. All the way to the end. So yeah, we broke that up because there's two sets there. So that's why it helps me to look for those subject verb pairs first, and then I can see, okay, I need them in both of these main clauses. Prepositional phrases, Bryce, do you see where those are?
Could fire this arrow.
Not with could. Could's a verb. So you're going to look for a word that does not have a label on it yet.
Through your heart.
Through your heart is one. Good.
Like a fool.
Like a fool. There you go. That's why I like to save those for the last thing because it's easier to spot. Indent, we're going to go on the fix it column now. That's just going to be your paragraph symbol right here at the beginning. Capitals, go ahead and do those by yourself. You know where those are. Three capitals here. Okay, quotation marks. So this is going around what's being spoken. So Grayson, what parts are the speaking parts?
You joke like a fool,
Yes, good.
and I could fire this arrow through your heart.
Yes, good, Grayson. And while we're at it, I'm gonna have you do this part too because he's bellowing it, meaning he's like yelling and he's angry. What kind of punctuation would best fit that emotion?
An exclamation mark?
Yes, so that would be good right after heart. I know you can't really see it in here. And then right after fool. So when you write this, you're going to put the exclamation point and then the quotation. Okay, so when you write it down here, make sure you put the punctuation on the inside of the quotation mark. But yes, I agree with you. Both of those should be exclamation marks. And we already fixed the homophone, so we are good. The homophone was your. Nice job, you guys. Okay, let's put away grammar and go ahead and get out your binders. You should have in your front pocket, you finished up the writing on Captain Cook. So get out everything from Captain Cook from your front pocket of your binder. Just a reminder, that's where you keep everything that you're working on currently. It goes in the front pocket. And then as soon as we're done with it, we put it away and we get out the next thing. And by the way, we are done with Captain Cook. And that feels like it was forever ago when you wrote about that. But you can put away all the stuff for Captain Cook. Yep, it all goes away in your finished stuff. There's nothing else to move around for that. So go ahead and put away Captain Cook, your keyword outline, all the stuff that went with that art or that paper. And then you're going to go to week 10 in the binder, and it's called week 10 drone. Go ahead and take that one out. Week 10. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. All of week 10. You do not need a lined piece of paper today, so we're just going to work with what we have from the packet here. Oops. So week 10, 5 pages for week 10. I know JC will remember this. You remember when we wrote about pictures? We had pictures and we had to write a story. Yep, we're going to do that this week. So I remember you liking that, I'm pretty sure. Or do you like academic writing better? I was trying to remember. Which one do you like better, JC?
I like both.
Oh, you like both. Okay. Yeah. For me personally, making up stories is hard. Some students, it's like easy and it's fun and they like it. And it's like, yay, I get to write what I want to write about. But I'm kind of the opposite of that. I like to write academic stuff, but this is kind of hard for me. I'm just going to be honest with you guys, but maybe you'll like it. Like I said, I have a lot of students that really like it. Okay. Let's go to, we're going to start with the tan page first, which is this one. We have new banned words. Wah, wah, wah. That's okay. We can handle it. We're tough. We're not going to let any banned words scare us. So notice this is different than the blue page. So the blue page that we have banned words on are verbs. This one is going to be adjectives. So we're going to talk about a couple adjectives that are now banned. You cannot use them anymore because they're boring, not because they're bad words, but they're boring words. So we're going to come up with better ones. In the first box, I just want you to write good. In the second box, I want you to write bad. That's it. So no more good or bad. We're going to have to come up with a list of words that are better than those words. Okay. I still see you guys moving paper, so I'll give you a second to get situated there. Lucy, were you able to find week 10 in your binder? Okay, good. Okay, so instead of good, we'll start with that one. What is another word we can use instead of good? You can be thinking about how you feel, or maybe how the food tastes, or maybe the kind of day it is outside. What are some words we can use instead of good? You can raise your hand. Lucy?
Amazing, wonderful,
Amazing and wonderful. Good. Did you have one, JC?
excellent,
I like it. Excellent. Did I spell that right? That one always trips me up. Let me check here. I can't remember if it has a C. Oh, yeah, it does. You know how sometimes you write a word and it's like, that doesn't look right. Uh, Bryce or Grayson, can you think of any other words instead of good?
Acceptable.
Say it one more time.
Accept. Acceptable.
Acceptable. Yeah, that would work. It's not fantastic. It's not like a great thing, but it's acceptable. It's like, yeah, that'll work. That's acceptable. Okay. Grayson.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I like that one. I also like awesome. That's one of my favorite words. Awesome. Might as well put that one on there. Lucy?
superb,
Yeah, I like that one too. Superb. Or even super. I guess we could put that one too. Super. If you're eating food, that's kind of an easy one, but what kind of word could you use if the food is good? JC?
yummy,
Yeah? Lucy, did you think of one too?
Delectable.
Ooh, delectable. I was thinking delicious, but that would work too. I know I have too many on here, so if you can't fit them all, that's okay. Remember, this is just a starter list for you. So when you're writing your story, if you don't like any of these options, you can always go to a thesaurus if you have one at home, or thesaurus.com on the computer if your parents are okay with that, and type in the word good, and then it'll give you a giant list of all kinds of other choices other than good. So that's also a tool for you. All right, let's talk about bad. Let's go there. What's another word for bad? Let's make a list for that one. JC?
Horrible.
Horrible, good one. Anybody else? Another word for bad. Bryce, do you know one? Maybe terrible? Awful? If you're eating something that tastes bad, you got an idea? Lucy, go ahead. Go ahead, Lucy.
Terrible, nasty, dreadful, awful, unlucky.
Wow. That was like an explosion. Miserable. That's a good list. I think we got a good start there. Does dreadful have an A in it? Some of you are probably better spellers than me. Dreadful. Oh, it does. I misspelled that one. Like I told you guys, spelling is not my forte. I struggle with it even still. But I made it to be a teacher, so you can make it if you struggle with spelling. Don't worry about that. You'll get through life just fine. Especially now that we have, our phones. How do you spell this? Dreadful has EA. All right. So we're done with that list. So now no more using good or bad. You're going to have to come up with a more descriptive word. These are considered quality adjectives. Okay. It's not good and bad. Those are not quality, but the rest of these ideas are. So when that comes up on your checklist, you can use this if you need to, or other resources. Okay. Next, let's go to the yellow page. This one, page 91. So when you have a set of pictures, this is what we're going to talk about here. You're going to come up with your own story. You're going to make up the names of your characters, the situation, what happens. You're going to make it up. Now, I used to, when I was your age and I had to do writing like this, I would panic. I would be like, I don't know what name to pick. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how to do this because it's so overwhelming to decide all these decisions on your own, right? So what you're going to do is think. And thinking happens normally. It happens naturally. We think all the time. Our brains are working all the time, whether or not we're actually aware of it or not, they're working all the time. And when you think, you automatically ask yourself questions. Like, for instance, if you're hungry, which I am right now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking in my head, what do I have in the kitchen that I can eat for lunch? Or where is the pizza that we had last night? Or why am I so hungry? Oh, I forgot to eat breakfast or something like that. These questions cycle through your brain automatically. That's called thinking. So we have here who, what, when, where, why. They did not include how, but I'm going to have you include how in this list. And I'll have you write it on a different page in a minute, and then these are questions that are going to help you figure out your story. There's also questions like before, meaning what could have happened before that picture? And then after, if you're looking at the last picture, what could you think of that might happen after that picture? And then we have that word outside. That means outside of the frame of the picture. It does not mean outdoors. Outside just means like maybe just outside of this picture, there's a guy standing there, or a dog, or a cat. Cats really don't like birds. Maybe there's a big cat right here and he's going, oh, uh-oh. This is where you get to create a story. Now look on this side of the pictures here. This is your keyword outline, and they're going to give you one to work with. You see the Roman numeral 1 next to central fact. Roman numeral 2, central fact. Roman numeral 3, central fact. This will represent 3 paragraphs, which you're going to write this week. A made-up story here using other pictures that we're going to look at in a minute. Central fact means what is literally happening in the picture. Literally, what do you see in the picture? So the central fact of this picture, I see a blackbird, grass, and a hose. That's literally what I see in the picture. It looks like maybe the blackbird is trying to eat the hose. So here's where you can start thinking of questions like, why is a blackbird wanting to eat the hose? Maybe the blackbird thinks that the hose is a worm or a snake or something to eat. Where is that bird? Outside, maybe in the backyard, because it kind of looks like the side of a house right here, maybe. So that's where you come up with your details when you're asking these questions. That central fact, though, that's telling what's really in the picture. So looking at the central fact here for Roman numeral 2, now it looks like the central fact is what's happening in the picture. The bird has his beak open. There's water coming out of the hose. He made a hole in the hose and it's spraying him and his wings are up. That's the central fact. That's what's literally in the picture. Then we can ask questions here for details. So why is the water coming out? Well, he poked it with his beak. And what is he going to do now? I don't know. Maybe he'll decide to take a bird bath. You know how birds like water? Sometimes they flap their wings and stuff. Or maybe he's going to leave and go find something else to eat. Okay, that's an example there. And then here, Roman numeral 3, that's your third paragraph, looking at the central fact. He's walking away, or maybe he's trying to fly. He's getting ready to take off away from the hose. But like I said earlier, maybe outside of this picture is a cat. And now he's trying to decide how he's going to stay alive, right? All right. We're not going to talk about this advanced part yet. We will in the future, but we're just focusing on how to write from pictures. So next, I want you to turn to a page that has the pictures that you're going to write about this week. It's this one, page 93. And like I said, we don't need a lined paper because look, they gave you this paper to use for your keyword outline. It's handy dandy. All right. Now, before we get started on brainstorming here, because we're going to brainstorm together ideas on what's happening in these pictures, why it's happening, what's going to happen next, who's in the picture, all those question words. The first step is to write those question words. So at the very top in this blank spot, I'm just going to have you write all those big 6. You know what they are. Who, what, when, where. I'm just writing them across the top here. Why, how. I'll give you a second to write those down. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Those are the big 6. That's what we call in writing. Those are the 6 question words. When you start a sentence with one of these words, it's going to be a question. Now, there's other question words too, like, is there going to be a storm today? Or Do I have pizza in the refrigerator? I don't know why I keep talking about pizza. It's because I'm hungry, you guys. That's why. But anyway, there's other ways to ask questions, but these are the big six. These are the main ones that we use to write question sentences with. But like on that yellow page, there's a couple extras that we want to add to this. So hopefully you have room here underneath that. I want you to write before question mark, after question mark, and outside. And remember, outside meaning outside the frame of the picture. Like, for instance, this first one, there might be a whole bunch of people. He might be at school and all of his classmates are there. We just don't see them because they're not in the picture. Maybe they're there, but we just don't see them. Or he's got his whole family there. Or it's Christmas time. We don't see the Christmas tree, but maybe outside of this picture, there's a Christmas tree. Could be Christmas. Or his birthday. I mean, we don't know. This is where you get to make these things up. Okay. Having these question words right here will help you when you're coming up with the plot. So as far as central fact goes, though, that is basically what is literally happening in the picture. To me, the picture looks like a boy, and you can make up a boy name. If you want it to be a girl, you can come up with a girl name. To me, it looks like a boy, so I would pick a boy name. You can pick a name, whatever name you like. I'm going to pick, you probably will guess it. I know that JC will guess what name I'm going to pick. It's got to be Bob, right, JC? Bob is always in our stories, right? I'm putting Bob, but you guys can put whatever name you want to pick there. We're going to call him Bob for mine. But if you like other names like Jason or Derek or Charlie, I mean, you pick it. Any name. And then I'm going to ask Lucy for this one on Roman numeral 1 here. This first picture, the central fact is literally what is happening in the picture. So what can you say? What do you see here? What is happening in the picture?
The boy is opening a box.
Opening a box. It could be a present. It could be a box from Amazon. So you can put Bob opening or whatever name you picked. And then you can either put box or present or gift or whatever you want to put for yours. Okay. It does not have to be exactly like mine. So good. That was good, Lucy. So that's literally what's happening in the picture. The boy is opening a box. We can look at details like I can use that word how and think about how he feels. Obviously, he feels happy. We see a big old smile on his face. His eyebrows are up. He looks like he's excited about something. So he's excited about his gift, but we don't know what it is yet. We don't see it yet. So what do you think, JC? Do you think it could be his birthday or maybe Christmas, or is it like a just because gift, or maybe he saved up enough money to buy something from Amazon? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's his birthday.
Okay. Let's put that birthday. I'm going to put excited because that's how he looks to me. And gift. Now, you can put the same thing I'm putting, or you can create your own. This is where this week, when you guys go to write, it's more of a free write. So you get to come up with your plot by yourself. What do you think he's thinking? Or maybe what is he wishing for? Like, is it maybe he's still taking the tissue paper out of the box? You know how sometimes when you get a present, it's like covered up in a bunch of tissue paper and you're still not sure what it is until you start taking out the tissue paper and you're like, where is it? What do you think, Bryce? What are some ideas on what you think he's hoping for as a present? And you can make this up. It's really wide open here. He might be hoping for a bike, an Xbox, whatever it is now. I don't even know the number anymore. Maybe he's hoping for a new computer. What do you think, Bryce? You can make it up. What do you think he's hoping to find in there?
I don't know.
See, you're like me, Bryce. I relate to that. I do, because I have a hard time making it up. Anybody else have an idea? Like Grayson, do you have an idea of what he's hoping for? Go for it.
A dog.
That's funny because we actually did that for my daughter one time. We got her a puppy and we didn't put it in a box, but we put it in a gift bag. It was a baby little puppy. And we put tissue paper on top of the puppy. Yeah, so you could put a dog. We could put something like hoped, and then you can decide what he hoped for, a dog, or obviously a bike isn't going to fit in a box, but maybe he's hoping for like a remote control car, or I don't know. You guys can make it up. This is what he was hoping for. And then we can decide for number 3, we can decide what is it exactly that he got. Now, this is where we could peek ahead at the other pictures. We're not going to mention these yet, but you can see in the second and third pictures, he's holding some kind of remote control. You see that? And he's outside and he's looking up. So based on that, I think we can decide he either got like a remote control airplane or drone or some kind of flying object with controls. We know the name of this lesson is drone, so they're saying it's a drone, but you can make it whatever you want to make it. It doesn't have to be a drone. Could be like a flying space shuttle thing. I don't know. I'm making something up. Bryce, I understand. I have a hard time too. So it's hard to know what to make up. Maybe later when you're by yourself and you're thinking about this, you can come up with stuff later. Okay. So I'm just gonna put here, maybe it's like a super HD video drone. It's kind of weird, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it drone 5000 or I don't even know. It's like a spy drone, which is illegal, by the way, but maybe as a toy. It doesn't go as high as the government ones do. I'll just say that. What else? How does he feel about that? We already said he's excited. What is he saying? What do you think he's saying as he's opening it up? What do you think, Lucy? What do you think? Or JC, I'll start with you since you have your hand up. What is he saying?
Maybe he's like thanking his parents.
Yes, I like that. What were you going to say, Lucy?
I don't know.
We could do like, wow, thank you. I'm going to stop there for that one, and we're going to go on to the next picture here. So something to keep in mind, I am going to tell you this because I've taught this lesson many times, and some students find it easier to just sit down and start typing a story without having this keyword outline. Some students really like having the keyword outline because it gives them a direction to go in their writing. I am going to leave that up to you. We're going to keep practicing in class here, but when you sit down to write this story later, you might have a better idea that you didn't think about right now. It's okay to not use the keyword outline only for this lesson, okay? Just freeing you up there for that. Some students find it easier to just sit down and start typing. And I'm okay with that. And you can make this however wild and crazy or funny or serious or sad or happy, however you want to make your story to come. Try your best to just think outside the box and get a little creative. That's my advice to you. So we're looking at number 2 here. Oh, by the way, notice the clincher rule. They gave it to you right here because that's still on your checklist. So clincher repeats or reflects 2 to 3 keywords of the central fact. So your central fact is here, Bob opening box. So I'm going to have at least 2 of those in my last sentence. Like, Bob couldn't believe what he saw in the box. I can't use saw though, because that's a banned word. So Bob couldn't believe what he found in the box. That would be a good clincher sentence. You guys follow me with that? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, good. Got it. Looking at the second picture here, I'm going to have Bryce. I know this is hard. I feel you. I'm with you. Just tell me what you see in the picture, though. What are some central facts here that you see in the picture?
His parents are excited to see him use his new toy.
Okay, good. I like that. His parents are inside. They look like they're inside, so he's outside. So I'm going to put, I like that. Parents excited. I already used excited, so when I go to write this, I might change that to something else like happy or ecstatic or surprised or some other word, but I'm just going to use excited since we talked about that. And they're watching. I'm going to put past tense, watched. There's somebody else in the scene, though. You see that? Maybe that's a little brother. Inside. It's funny that they're inside, though. You would think if your parents are excited that you got a new toy, they would go outside with you. So maybe there's a reason they're inside and he went outside. I don't know. Maybe they're happy, but they're like, oh, I hope he doesn't break anything. Don't break the neighbor's window. It's going to be expensive. Okay. Some other thoughts here. Where is he? He's outside. We established that. I think we need to say that in our outline, though. He's outside, flying, and I'm going to put the drone because that's what I'm calling it. You don't have to copy me here, guys, okay? You can make this your own or completely change it later, like I said. That's okay, too. So, how does Bob feel right now, Grayson, flying his drone?
Amazing.
Amazing. Okay. His eye, to me, if you look at his face a little closer, I see him smiling, but I see him a little bit worried. He's really worried in the last one. We can see this one. Go ahead and mute, Grayson. There you go. This one, I think he's having a good time flying it. Let's see. What's another good question word here? Where is he flying it? Is he flying it over the neighbor's house? Is he flying it over a school? Or maybe he lives next to the Dodger Stadium in LA or something, and they're playing baseball, and he's flying it over the baseball stadium. I mean, where do you think he's flying this thing? Anybody have any thoughts on that? It's hard to brainstorm, I know. Okay, Grayson, what do you think?
Over the White House.
Ooh, over the White House. All right. Drone. This could get interesting. That's definitely illegal, so we'll see what happens next. This is where, you're making it up, so it's okay. If you want him to fly over the White House, he flies over the White House. Just don't you go do that. That would not be a good plan for you to do. And is he practicing, how is he flying? Is he doing loops, spirals? Is he going as high as he can and doing dives? Or, I mean, it's a drone, so basically you can do anything with it, but anybody have any thoughts on how he's flying this? What is he doing tricks with it? Maybe? Is he hovering? Grayson.
He's spying on the president.
Oh, yes. Okay. We could put hovering. Do you guys know what hovering means? Hovering means like for a drone, it's in the air, but it's not moving. You can fly it and do tricks with it, but you can also let it be just still above you. Hovering, spying president. And now I would think his parents are going, son, Bob, son. I don't know if that's such a great idea. I'm glad you like your present, but I don't know if that's a good idea to spy on the president. You guys can have a totally different story. We're just going off of everybody's brainstorming right here. So, and maybe at this point he does like a loop and a roll and a dive with the drone, maybe. And I'm not going to do 5 again. I'm just going to leave it 4 for now. All right, last picture. So this time I'm going to have JC looking at the last picture, kind of, and your story is probably really different, but what do you think could be happening in the last picture, like the central fact?
Maybe he like accidentally like hit the president in the head with the drone.
That's true. Let's start with the central fact. I'm going to use that for the next one, but what's literally in the picture first? Let's start with that.
Everyone looks really worried.
Everyone's worried. Everyone's worried. Maybe shocked. That word is shocked there. I just added that one. And did you say he accidentally hit the president in the head? Accidentally hit president. And then I'm going to just draw a head here. Oh, he's going to be in big trouble. That's a little arrow pointing to the head. Big time trouble. All right, I think this would be a good place to stop because they're going to leave it in suspense here. And I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. If you like where we're headed with this, you can use this. If you have a completely different idea, go with it. Okay? You can involve aliens, you can involve dinosaurs, you can involve anything you want. The army or students at a school or who knows what. Okay? Let your imagination go here. This is going to be your guide. Going through these questions over and over and over again. Why does he look like that? What is he doing? Where is he? Who's in the picture? How did he get there? All of these questions: who, what, when, where, why, how. And before, after, and outside. You can also ask those questions to yourself to help you think of a plot. Now, let's check the checklist because there is a new item on here. That's going to be page 97. This is your checklist. Everything up here is pretty much the same. Don't forget that the topic clinchers are there. Still, they're going to be on your checklist forever. Okay. It just says clincher sentences repeat or reflect 2 keywords from central fact. So it's basically the topic sentence and the clincher sentence still is the same thing, but they're calling it central fact because that's the first part of your paragraph, what is literally happening in the picture. And then if you look down here under your dress ups, you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have added quality adjective. And a quality adjective is a word that's describing a noun. So you could name the drone like the Super Duper 500 Pro. That would be an adjective because it's describing the drone, right? Well, there's a bunch of adjectives, but you can pick one of those words and underline it. So quality adjectives also, remember our list, so you need to stay away from good and bad. Those other words are also considered quality adjectives that we made on the list. Okay, so think of words that describe, they're going to give an image of what you're talking about. I just want you to know that a quality adjective is pretty much the same as an adjective. And we know that from writing, it describes a noun, okay? And then look at your band words. You have say, said, seesaw. That's going to be a tough one because he's watching and the family's watching. Don't use saw. Or said, because you might have them talk to each other. Or think thought. That's going to be another hard one because the family's looking, thinking, uh-oh, we're gonna get arrested right now. They're gonna come and take us away and take us to jail because we just hit the president on the head. That's not good. So try not to use think or thought. I don't think you'll worry about eat or ate. We're not really eating in this, but if you want to add that, add it. Maybe the drone he's going to go pick up a hamburger at In-N-Out and bring it back on the drone. That could be a good one too. And then go, went, stay away from that. And now you have good and bad on your list. So don't use good or bad. It's a banned word now. So your homework is 3 paragraphs using these 3 pictures. Each picture is a paragraph. 1, 2, 3. These are all paragraphs. You can use the keyword outline if you need it. If you don't need it, you can just have fun with it, but make sure each paragraph stays with each picture. Like for this one, the first paragraph, don't talk about him flying and running into something yet. You got to save that for your 3rd paragraph. So stick with just 1 picture for each paragraph. All right, you guys have any questions about your homework or anything? You're good? Okay, I see you shaking your head. Good job. All right, you guys, that's it for today. See you next week. Bye. Have a good one.